Yes, sir. You see the shirt? You see what it is? I'm gonna start selling these soon. Once I get enough people interested, you dig what I'm saying? They're gonna go for $25. Cost fucking money to make this, so if you don't want to buy, it is what it is. If you do, show love, leave a comment on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the shit so far. We 7 episodes in right now. You know, I appreciate the support I've been getting thus far. A lot of love on Instagram, some love on YouTube. I'm trying to get more people to peep the YouTube, but you know, the people who watch it really watch it. So I appreciate y'all for watching. So we talking about Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby, I guess, let me just give a quick rundown of the whole Bill Cosby trial. Yesterday got charged with 3 years in prison for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant. How did he meet this Andrea Constant? Well, Bill Cosby is a trustee at Temple University. Andrea Constant from 2002 to 2006 was a director of operations there, and she allegedly in January 2004 went to Bill Cosby's home to get career advice, and he gave her a glass of wine and supposedly drugged her with 3 pills that left her frozen, which I guess these were supposedly Quaaludes. Andrea Constant, in a civil settlement reached in September 2005, received $3.38 million, and her and Cosby signed a non-disclosure agreement. So how did all this rape stuff come back out if those all took place in 2004 to 2005? So it's October 2014, social media caught wind of Hannibal Buress doing a comedy routine where he refers to Cosby as a rapist. This went viral. As a result, the criminal investigation in July 2015 was reopened, and the judge publicly released the part of Cosby's disposition from September 05, where he admits to giving women Quaaludes. So, court of public opinion has influenced the way this case has gone, and that's just a dangerous thing, because now it doesn't matter what the truth is. If the public feels like you're guilty, it will influence the actual trial that the jury has to examine. And that, just like being charged on allegations, is a very dangerous thing, because the system we use in these criminal trials is a jury. They're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to look at the facts. They're supposed to keep their emotions and other factors void in the courtroom, but it's clearly not possible, because this trial was brought back to trial because of social media, because a comedian went viral. So the trial went back to trial after almost 10 years, 9 years, from 2005 to 2014, because of social media. And you're gonna tell me the people who were doing the jury for the trial didn't have any bias from social media when the whole trial was brought back to life almost 10 years later due to social media? So that's very alarming to me, because now it's like, if social media finds you guilty, like, God bless you and what happens in your case. Some other things that I found a little fishy, but at the same time weren't substantial enough to make me feel like maybe this man wasn't guilty of this. And I don't really have a he was guilty versus he wasn't guilty. Actually, I personally feel he's guilty, but based on how this court system works, if I had to be part of that jury, I don't think I would have been able to give him that guilty plea, because I didn't see any evidence. Like, I went through a lot of the case file history from the beginning, the 2002, when Andrea Constant became a director of operations at Temple University, to present in 2018, and all I see is allegations. So it's just like, the only thing I see that really looks bad is the fact that this man admitted to giving women Quaaludes, and that looks really bad. Like, I don't think there would be a case if he didn't say that in his disposition. And the fact of the matter is, that was said in a civil settlement disposition where he paid almost $3.5 million, $3.38 million. So it's like, he said that in something where there was a non-disclosure agreement signed. He never in his wildest dreams imagined that thing was going to be reopened, which is probably the only reason why he even said it. Still very ill-advised move, which I'm sure he realizes now. What I find fishy though about this is that after the case was shut down by Montgomery County in 2004 or whatever, she sued Cosby in March 8th, 2005. She quit her job as a director of operations 1 year later and moved to Toronto, where she's been living ever since. This fits the narrative of the defense witness statement from Marguerite Jackson, who said she saw that this woman told her voluntarily that she saw a way to come up and make some money. But then again, who's to say that Marguerite Jackson is truly credible? So I mean, these are both light-weighted allegations in my opinion. I can't take one more seriously than the other. I feel like there's a lot of on the public side, there's a lot of emotion that's connected to the woman as a victim, and I'm not saying that. Well, I am saying that's unjust, and the only reason why I'm saying that's unjust isn't because I don't have sympathy or empathy for rape victims or anything like that, but it's because in the court system, we are looking at an objective process, not a subjective process. We're not looking at something based on your emotions. We don't care about your emotions. They're irrelevant. We are looking at the facts and the evidence, and if it can't be proven, you can't charge people over it, whether it's right or wrong. This is the system we've agreed upon. So if we're going off the evidence, then this isn't good enough to me. Like, I don't see the proof. The proof that she said something, I could say something. I could say somebody tried to rob me or rape me or this and that. And if I could say that and get someone arrested and do prison time over that, that's wild. There needs to be an investigation that definitively brings proof. The other thing that is a little wishy-washy to me is like the DA that opposed him gets elected a month before. He gets elected November 3rd, 2015, and then December 2015, 30. Yeah, it was 2015. He gets elected as DA 2 months right before they end up pressing charges, right before his statute of limitations is up. I mean, maybe he got into office a lot easier because there was the press since October 2014 when Hannibal Buress did his sketch, and people supported him and voted extra hard for him, knowing that he had a record of not supporting the Cosby case back in 04 or 05 or whatever. So maybe he got in based on that. It's just a little funny to me that he got his DA job all of a sudden right before that occurrence, because it's like he could have ran for DA anytime between then to 2015, but all of a sudden you're running the year when this whole thing is going down, Anyways, what are the real ramifications of this? One, I'm gonna say this: if you're a parent and you have a boy, you need to give this man a whole new rundown that has never been given before. Any mothers with boys, young sons, you need to give your child game that has never been given before in this era, because this era is a whole different playbook. You need to tell that young man he can't engage in any sexual activities with the woman unless he has undeniable, irrefutable proof that she is consenting, and this is in the moment of the soon to occur sexual activity, and this irrefutable proof has to be sufficient to prove that the woman's not under duress. You can't have it ambiguous where maybe that man is threatening her and she's just saying that it has to be in a way, and I don't even know how to do this. Like, so I'm telling you this, but I don't know how the fuck to do this. Like, a text message isn't good enough. Text message with a girl saying, yeah, I want to fuck you, I want to get it popping with you. That's not enough. You gotta have, like, yo, I don't even know what, but you gotta, this shit is crazy, but this is what it's come down to. Because bottom line is, what this case tells me is, if a woman alleges that you have committed a sexual crime against her, you will go to prison. You will go to prison at the bare minimum. And Cosby had money, and he's doing 3 years. And part of that is probably not only the image and all the donations he's given to Temple and his area in Philadelphia, but also not only the networks he's had, but also he has great lawyers. Lawyers that the average person can't afford. And he's old as shit. So it's like people, his defense attorney, they were trying to build a case that he shouldn't even be, like, you know what I mean? Give him some clemency for, like, aging. Because a man might die in prison if you give him the full charges. And, so young mothers with men or young boys, teenagers, adolescents, young adults, no having sex with a woman unless you have irrefutable proof right before you're about to have sex. I'm sorry it's got to be this way, but it's the only way to protect young men. It just is what it is. And if you don't take those steps, you will be putting yourself at risk for rape allegations that last as long as the statute of limitations lasts. In this case, that was 12 years. So you could be a 22-year-old man now, started your career, got a wife, had children, this and that, bought a house, moved on, did your own thing. Not quite 34 yet, you're 33. That woman comes back, heard you got money, want to come up, something, got a vendetta against you, something. And she could say, oh, he raped me. I have no proof, just allegations, just word for word. And a woman's voice in this case is going to be taken like a police officer against a defendant, against a perpetrator or a criminal suspect. This is what we're looking at. So if you're a man, you cannot be out here, like, no more one night stands. We can't do one night stands. That shit, that concept, that's dead. It's dead for that. No more one night stands. You can't do that. You can't do that. Can't do that. Because more times than not, how you getting a one night stand? You getting a one night stand in a bar. So if you get a one night stand in a bar, or you in a club, or you in a lounge, y'all had drinks. And the court's not going to care if the man was drunk and the woman is drunk. They're only going to care that the woman was drunk. They're not going to care if the man was drunk. They're just going to be like, he knew what he was doing. But the woman being drunk, oh, it was rape. And if the woman says it's rape, because of our physiological differences, a man being physically strong and a woman being physically not as strong as a man, they're going to say, oh, the woman was being assaulted. The woman was under duress. The woman did not consent because she was drunk. What about if a man and a woman are having sex and they're drunk? Did the man consent? You dig what I'm saying? But the public's not going to look at it like that. So we can't even argue with all of that. Let's just look at it for what it is. If you're both not sober, you both have to be sober. If you both are not sober, you cannot have sex. One night stands are not safe. And still, so you need irrefutable proof. You both have to be sober. And you have to trust that woman's character, which is another reason why you can't have one night stands, because you cannot fully gauge any person's character, man or woman, until you let time elapse and you get to know that person under different situations, until you see them in different circumstances. You cannot judge a person's character in one night. People could put on whatever face they want. You dig what I'm saying? You need all these three conditions, and you still aren't guaranteed that you will beat a possible rape allegation. And that was 12-year statute of limitations in Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is in California, in Florida, in New York, in Texas. I don't know what it is. So you need to research your state, because it's going to be different for everyone, depending on where you're at, where you're going to college, where you go to high school, whatever that may be. So you need to look that shit up. This is only for people in the U.S., obviously. But even so, overseas, I imagine their court system is the laws are different, so, But that being said, men, if you face a sexual assault charge or even sexual allegations, you are guilty until proven innocent. Social media will amplify the perception of social crimes commentary, with memes, satire, everything. Social media will play a role in convicting you, because even if social media isn't the jury in the courtroom, they will have invaded the minds of the jury in the courtroom. They will have created the perception for the jury to see that court case through. They will create the lens, the glasses for that jury to see the court case through. So remember, you are guilty until proven innocent. And this is just fact, because the criminal case was reopened with the social media viral clip. You understand? So they took something that was settled. This man paid $3.38 million to this woman in 2005, and they took that and said, nah, we opening that shit back up, and we're gonna make this a problem now. So social media will make you guilty until proven innocent, and you're gonna have to really prove undeniably that you're innocent. Whereas the allegations don't necessarily have to prove you're guilty. They just have to go far enough to convince the jury that you're guilty, which can be done with emotional swaying. Because at the end of the day, there was a movement pushing women's justice in rape allegations cases and in sexual assault cases, this MeToo movement. This was a huge factor in pushing forth this Bill Cosby case. He might have been the first person of this MeToo movement era, right? Also, black men, understand you will be persecuted much faster than a white person for said crimes. Woody Allen's adopted son, right after receiving some Golden Globe award, testified that he had been a rapist and all other types of shit. And Woody Allen went on to produce 2 or 3 different successful films, even though he's a writer-director, so he's not in the face of the films. But his name was attached to these things, and he wasn't shut down immediately. We currently have a Supreme Court Justice appointee, Brett Kavanaugh, who's pursuing lifetime nomination, and he has rape allegations, and they're still considering him for nomination. Even I think there's supposed to be updates on how the Senate rules on their votes for his nomination tomorrow or today, technically Wednesday, September 26, 2018. So, you know what I mean? Carolyn Bryant Donham confessed to the accessory of murder for Emmett Till at age 83. Bill Cosby's either 80 or 81, and she's alive still, and she's still free. So they're not pressed to retroactively. I don't think there's a statute of limitation on crimes involving murder. So they're not pressed to throw her ass in jail. These are all white people I'm mentioning. Harvey Weinstein is still free. His track record is long enough. There's the clip of him saying with the Filipino, just come to the hotel. You know, just come. You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing. Donald Trump, the president, caught on camera saying he grabs the pussy. Come on, yo. I don't hear me though. And last thing I gotta say, because y'all niggas making me sick right now, is the Me Too movement is cool, but I don't see any black people unifying for any movements that have to do with benefiting black people. See, there's so many movements that will say, hey, all women, come identify with us. All this, come identify with that. But there's no movements that are truly, and Black Lives Matter doesn't count, and I'm going to tell you why Black Lives Matter isn't a real movement that is truly solidifying the black community. Because one, it's not creating a black community. All it's doing is bringing attention to crimes after they've been committed and trying to get the public to be aware of them. There's nothing else that Black Lives Matter is doing. And then doing protests. They're doing physical protests. They're not helping create black community. None of these movements are helping create black community. This is what we need. Why do we need black community? I'll tell you why. Because when you go in a Jewish neighborhood, they have signs that are written in all Hebrew. You don't know what the fuck they're saying. They're all Hebrew. And nobody but Jewish people are living in those premises. If you live in New York, you know what I'm talking about in Williamsburg. You know what I'm talking about in Crown Heights. You dig what I'm saying? There's full Jewish neighborhoods where there's nothing but Jews, and they own all the small businesses, all the real estate. Shit, Brooklyn is the only place, in Crown Heights is the only place in New York City where I've seen an ambulance system that's specifically only for Jewish people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Every community should have that. But you can't have that if you don't have a community. So this is what I'm saying to black people. We need a movement for black community. We don't need a movement to bring awareness to crimes taking place to black people after the fact and we want justice. No, we need a movement for black community. Because when there's black community, there's so many other things that can be done. The key thing that people are missing is when the civil rights movement was taking place in the 40s, 50s, 60s, up until the main leaders were assassinated, Malcolm, MLK, Black Panthers, there was community. So that's what allowed all these movements to be able to solidify. And the reason there was community was because every person who was of African descent in the United States had just come out of slavery or just had ancestors coming out of slavery. So it was fresh in their head. The community was based on the unity from the struggle of slavery. Now people have gotten disconnected from that because their parents' generation got hooked on heroin or crack cocaine and didn't pass on the knowledge to the next generation. So much so that now people are like, yo, we just trying to survive out here in the ghetto, gotta hustle, sell drugs, this and that. That's the crack era, the 80s, the 90s, and now we're here 2000s to 2018, where people have gone from that to lean, promethazine, now the opioid crisis. But people have gotten the disconnect. So we gotta rebuild the community. We gotta have a movement for black community. And we join all these other movements, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with them, but we're joining them and we're not working on ourselves. And it's like there will be crimes that will continue to occur without justice until we build that community. So MeToo movement, yeah, but that's not helping black people. It's not. Black woman, that shit's not helping you. Because I promise you, when there's a black woman facing a sexual assault crime, it's not gonna matter. Andrea Constand was white, need I remind you. So also, George Soros donated $33 million through his Open Society Foundation. So George Soros is a multi-billionaire with a B, right? As far as I'm concerned, his objectivity, he's donated to countless other foundations before, but it's hard to believe that one of the super elite people in society cares so much that he's against Trump, which George Soros is against Trump, and all this other stuff, and he's for black people and this and that. This dude is one of the legendary financial wizards of finance, bringing attention to things after crimes happen and not helping build black community. What they are doing is helping increase our anger, because now we get angry when we see these things, and then we go for the ousting of whoever we believe to be guilty. But then after that, shit dies down. We don't do anything to build up within. We don't do anything to say, hey, let's work on our communities and get black-owned supermarkets, black-owned hair stores, so that we don't got to go to these Korean or these Chinese stores where they're hitting people with broomsticks and all type of weird shit. We don't say we're going to have a black nail salon. So like the thing with that situation with the Chinese or Korean dude, whoever it was, where they were beating up the black woman because they felt like they didn't get a good job on their nails or whatever. We don't have things for ourselves. We don't have our own black electronics stores, we shop at their businesses. Black communities are only communities where every other nationality and ethnicity comes in to form their own businesses. Latinos have their own community. Latinos, you go into Washington Heights in New York, they have their own community. In the Bronx, they have their own community. You understand? Jewish people have their own community. Indian people, and I mean like East Indian people, they have their own community wherever they go. Middle Eastern people from Pakistan and Iraq and Iran, all those places, they have their own community when they come to America, where you could get their own vegetarian stuff. Right in borderline Jersey, right by the airport, there's a lot of Pakistani, Middle Eastern food right in that area of Jersey. that they have their own community. They keep their own community tight, and they network with each other. So when they see someone who looks like them, even if you're not family, they keep connected to say, hey, this is such and such, in case you ever need to know someone who's in government or local town hall, or a police officer. And they keep that network so that they empower themselves. We need to build that community. We don't have our own. We teach kids to go to college instead of how to open a C Corp or an S Corp or an LLC to reduce our tax benefit. All we do is preach education to work for someone rather than to work for ourselves. No entrepreneurship. Indian people will work a job, will get their advanced degree, and then open their own business. I'm not saying there's something wrong with education, but sometimes you got to work for someone else and then use your experience to work for yourself. All we think about is a good job with good benefits and retiring and working for someone else our whole lives to build their vision. We gotta build our own community. We need a community identity. Anything that's not dealing with building a black community is not pro-black. Because more than anything else that we need right now, we need our own community. So that's all I'm gonna say on all of this shit. I don't really feel like Cosby is innocent. I just don't feel like there was substantial proof to say that he should be charged with 3 years if we're going on how the American justice system works. But it is what it is. What happened, happened. It's clearly not equal to how they treat white people accused of rape. But I'm not saying that means that Bill Cosby should be excused. I'm just saying that these other perpetrators should also be tried. And furthermore, it's cool that this is a movement to empower women, and I'm all for that. Women should be empowered. Women have been oppressed. Women still aren't getting paid equal to what men are getting paid. But we need to understand the facts surrounding this, like how maternity leave affects a woman's ability to get a raise in a performance review because she's been out of the job for 3-4 months. How are you supposed to get a raise objectively on your performance when you haven't been performing, good or bad, for 4 months? And then we don't talk about why there's a gap between the woman and men's wage gap. We don't talk about the fact that women were mostly housewives prior to the 50s, and how their lack of presence in the workforce is why a lot of them aren't getting paid as much, because men historically have been working these jobs for a longer period of time. And it's that simple. And furthermore, the gap in wage discrepancy is shrinking. Like, women are getting their wages raised at a higher pace to the point that it will catch up to men. At the rate that it's going, it will catch up to men's. So, and I'm not saying that it should happen quicker than that, but we can't act like it's not happening. Like, look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Do the math. Alright? Black people, we so distracted. We need black community.